There's a house you're going to fall in love with. Good price, fresh paint, a backyard you can already picture on a Sunday, and it's sitting in a neighborhood that will quietly cost you $60, $80, sometimes $100,000 over the next 10 years, and you won't see it coming because the warning signs don't show up in the listing. They show up in the street, in the mailboxes, in what the neighbors aren't telling you.
There are growing concerns tonight about the nation's housing market. Sales are slowing, with homeowners struggling to find buyers in many locations across the country.
Today, I'm walking you through the 5 neighborhoods you should never buy in, and the red flags almost every buyer drives right past. Here's the thing, nobody tells first-time buyers, and honestly, plenty of repeat buyers learn it the hard way too. When you buy a house, you are not just buying the house. You're buying everything you can't renovate. You can knock down a wall, you can redo a kitchen, you can rip out carpet and refinish the floors underneath, but you cannot move the house out of a bad neighborhood. The location is the one variable you are stuck with the day you sign. And it's the single biggest factor in whether your home gains value or slowly bleeds it.
He says a small shift towards buyers is coming.
Maybe a house was taking 1 week to sell, and now we're kind of hovering at 3 weeks.
And the trap is this. Bad neighborhoods rarely look bad on the day you tour. The dangerous ones don't have boarded up windows and overgrown lawns screaming, "Stay away." The dangerous ones look fine. They look normal. Some of them look great. The decline is happening underneath the surface, on a timeline slow enough that nobody panics, until you go to sell, and suddenly your house sits on the market for 9 months while the agent keeps suggesting you adjust the price.
Has been on the market for about 3 months. The price was just reduced by $50,000, evidence of a nationwide slowdown in sales. Real estate agent Albert Safdie.
So what we're doing today is teaching your eye to read the things sellers hope you'll ignore. I've broken it down into 5 neighborhood types, and for each one, I'm going to give you the surface story, then the red flag underneath it, then exactly what to check before you ever make an offer. Some of these you've maybe heard of, but I promise you, at least 2 of them are going to make you rethink a place you're considering right now. And the 5th one is the one that fools even experienced investors, because on paper it looks like the smartest buy of your life. Let's start with number 1. Neighborhood number 1, the everybody's quietly leaving street.
Over Southwest Florida are seeing for sale signs, but not many closings. Wake News anchor Gracie Fusco is live in Punta Gorda. And Gracie, what have you seen?
Well, I spoke with a homeowner who told me he's been trying to sell his home for the past 3 years. He says after working with a realtor, getting no traction, and having to drop the price.
This one is sneaky because the houses themselves are usually well kept. You pull up, the lawns are mowed, the cars in the driveways look decent, and the agent tells you it's a stable, established community. Established. That word does a lot of quiet lying. Here's the red flag most buyers completely miss. Count the for sale signs. Not just on your street, on the surrounding 3 or 4 streets. 1 or 2 homes for sale is a normal, healthy market.
Slowed to their lowest pace in 16 years. Sales in what's typically the busiest time of year are down 0.7% compared to the same time last year.
2025 is poised to be the slowest housing market in over 25 years.
Financial analyst Meredith Whitney says homes are sitting on the market longer due to mortgage rates close to 7%, high prices, and economic uncertainty.
But when you start seeing 4, 5, 6 listed within a few blocks, all at the same time, that is not a coincidence. That is people who know something you don't, heading for the exit at the same moment. People leave neighborhoods in waves, and the first wave is always the ones paying closest attention, the ones who notice taxes creeping up, the school slipping, a planned development they don't like, or a major employer hinting at layoffs. By the time you're touring, the smart money is already packing boxes. So what do you actually check? 2 things. First, pull the sales history on Zillow or Redfin and look at how long homes are sitting. If the neighborhood average is climbing past 60, 70, 80 days, demand is drying up.
Houses on the market. Right now, there are 34% more sellers than buyers nationally. That's the most in more than a decade since Redfin started gathering data in 2013. But this is still considered a seller's market because...
Second, and this is the move almost nobody makes, knock on a door. Talk to a neighbor who's not selling. Ask them one question. If you could buy here again today, would you? Watch the pause before they answer. the pause tells you more than the words. Before I go on to neighborhood number 2, let me pause for a moment. If you want help putting all this into action in your own home, grab our guide, Home Savings Secrets. It's a simple 50-page playbook showing you 5 legal ways to cut your property tax, insurance, PMI, and escrow. The average homeowner saves over $4,000 a year. The link is in the description. All right, back to it. Neighborhood number 2, the not in the flood zone yet trap.
And for thousands of Texas families, that's becoming a big problem. More than 40,000 Texans dropped their flood insurance policies just in the last year alone. That's the biggest drop in the country, Caroline.
Yikes. And in a region where flooding can happen anywhere, the decision to save money today could cost tens of thousands of dollars tomorrow. KPRC2's Gabe.
This one is quietly getting more expensive every single year, and most buyers have no idea it's even happening. Here's how the trap is set. You ask the question every smart buyer asks, is this house in a flood zone? The agent checks the FEMA flood map. The answer comes back no. It's not in a designated high-risk zone, and you exhale. You feel responsible. You move on. But FEMA flood maps are based on historical data, and a lot of them haven't been meaningfully updated in years. They tell you where water used to go, not where it's going now. So you've got entire neighborhoods that are technically low risk on paper, while flooding more and more often in real life. And here's the kicker. Because they're not in the official zone, the seller is under no obligation to carry flood insurance, which means the carrying cost looks cheap right up until the day it isn't.
The U.S. government is buying up and then destroying American homes like this one. Some homeowners in floodplains may voluntarily sell their doomed properties to the government.
Since 1989, FEMA has funded something on the order of 45,000 to 50,000 home buyouts.
FEMA is estimated to have spent somewhere around $4 billion on the project so far. But that's just a fraction of the total amount spent on buyouts, since there are programs.
The red flag here is one most people would never think to look at. The insurance quote before you buy. Don't wait until closing. Call an insurance agent during your due diligence and get a real homeowner's quote for that exact address. If the premium comes back shockingly high, or carriers are reluctant, or there's a separate water exclusion buried in the policy, that's the market pricing in a risk the FEMA map hasn't caught up to yet. Insurance companies have far better data than the government here, and they vote with their premiums. 2 more quick checks. Look at the home on a topographic map and notice whether it sits in a low point relative to everything around it. Water is patient and water is honest. And search the local news for the town name plus the word flooding. If it shows up 3 times in 5 years, the listing photos taken on a sunny day are lying to you.
You should too. Just an inch of water in the average Texas home could cost upwards of $25,000 to fix. And granted, we haven't seen widespread flooding across the Houston metro since the days of Hurricane Harvey. There is no time to get comfortable in a city that's simply known for its flooding.
Neighborhood number 3, the beautiful HOA that's quietly broke. This one looks like the dream. That's exactly the problem. Manicured medians, matching mailboxes, a community pool, maybe a clubhouse, maybe a little gated entrance that makes you feel like you've arrived. The Homeowners Association keeps everything pristine, and that polish is doing a fantastic job of hiding a financial time bomb.
They're being hit with 6-figure assessments that are forcing them to flee.
The situation is leaving many unable to sell or afford the staggering cost. Local 10 News investigator Jeff Weinseer has the numbers.
Here's the red flag, and it's a number almost no buyer ever asks for: the HOA's reserve fund. Every association is supposed to set aside money for big future repairs. The clubhouse roof, repaving the roads, replacing the pool, the elevators if it's a condo. When an HOA underfunds that reserve to keep monthly dues looking low and attractive, the bill doesn't disappear, it just waits. And when that pool finally needs a $100,000 replacement and there's no money saved, the HOA hits every single homeowner with a special assessment, a surprise lump sum demand that can be $5,000, $15,000, sometimes more, due on a deadline you don't control.
The total assessment for the apartment we're sitting in is what?
Approximately $224,000.
When you say that number, can you believe it?
No, not at all. That's on top of their monthly maintenance that's gone from $1,500 to $3,000.
I've watched people get a special assessment letter 8 months after closing with absolutely no recourse. They bought the Polish. They never read the books. So before you buy anything with an HOA, you request 3 documents, and you have every right to them. The reserve study, which tells you how funded the reserves actually are. The last 2 years of meeting minutes, where you'll find the arguments about money the brochure will never show you, and the record of recent and pending special assessments. If the reserves are thin, the minutes are full of fights about deferred maintenance, and dues have spiked twice in 3 years. Walk away from the pretty mailboxes. They are not your friend.
High-cost fee assessments that have been imposed on condo owners, many of whom in South Florida, particularly in this community, are senior citizens and living on fixed incomes. And so these are people that have been in a condo for 20, 30 years, probably own it free and clear, thinking, and obviously they've had to deal with inflation and all these other aspects of life for the last 4 years. Hopefully that's going to abate. But then they're told, oh, by the way, pony up $100,000 for an assessment. Where are they going to get that money? So you're putting people in jeopardy of losing their homes.
Neighborhood number 4, the up and coming. That's been coming for 20 years. This one is the opposite of everything I've said so far. Up to now, it's all been about avoiding decline. This one fools you with hope. You've heard the pitch. This area is up and coming. Get in before it pops. There's a new coffee shop, a brewery. They're talking about a development down the road, and the price is low enough that it feels like a once-in-a-lifetime entry point. The story sells itself. Here's the brutal red flag. Ask how long it's been up and coming, because there's a real version of this and a fake version, and they look almost identical on a Saturday tour.
I mean, I see a lot of construction. I see a lot of new houses going up, but as far as the older houses, I don't see nothing happening. Everything's just sitting.
Dr. Weeks says there is hope for people who are wanting to sell their homes, but there's one important thing to keep in mind. He says
the real version has funded, permitted, under construction momentum. Actual cranes, approved budgets, infrastructure going into the ground right now. The fake version has been about to take off since the last housing cycle. Same 3 trendy businesses that opened and closed and reopened. Same vacant lot that's been going to be developed for a decade. The energy is all in the future tense, and the future never quite shows up. Neighborhoods don't transform because of vibes or one brewery. They transform because of capital. Large, committed public and private investment with real timelines attached. So here's what you check. Go to the city or county planning department's website. Almost everyone publishes approved projects and permits. And look for what's actually funded versus what's merely proposed. Proposed means nothing.
The flood risk that they're moving into, and ultimately, the developer can build the development, sell the homes, and kind of move on without maintaining any of the liability associated with.
A line item in a budget with a construction date means something. Then look at the median income trend over the last 5 years through public census data. If incomes in that zip code are flat or falling while the up-and-coming story keeps getting louder, you're not early. You're being sold a story the locals stopped believing a long time ago. Getting in early is how fortunes are made in real estate. Getting in forever early is how money gets stuck. Neighborhood number 5, the one big employer holds the whole town. This one catches the experienced people because on paper it looks fantastic. Picture a clean, affordable town built around one major engine, a big plant, a single corporate campus, a military base, a hospital system, one dominant industry. Jobs are good. Homes are cheap relative to income. Everyone seems to work at the same handful of places, and the whole community hums along nicely. It feels stable. It feels safe. But here's the red flag hiding in plain sight. Your home's entire value is chained to the fate of one organization you have no control over.
Their already stretched tax base.
Downtownship's mayor says without its Bayside sections, the rural community's already small tax base would be decimated.
We're not going to have any ratables or revenue left.
When a town has a diverse economy, lots of industries, lots of employers, a single bad year somewhere doesn't sink it. But when one employer is 50-60% of the local paychecks, and that employer downsizes, automates, relocates, or closes, and over a long enough timeline, Many of them do. It doesn't just cost some jobs. It collapses the housing market underneath everyone at once. Suddenly, hundreds of people need to sell at the same time, into a town where the only buyers also just lost their income. Prices don't dip. They fall off a cliff. So the check here is about concentration. Look up the town's largest employers. The local economic development sites and census data will tell you. If your gut says basically everyone here works at one place, that's your answer. Then ask the harder question. Is that industry growing or shrinking nationally? You're not just betting on the house. You're betting on that one company still being here and still hiring in 15 years. Affordable is wonderful, not right up until affordable means nobody else wants in either.
Dropped the price several times. He was turned down for a reverse mortgage by a lender due to strict condo rules.
Maybe I can give it away for pennies on the dollar.
He is not alone. This listing at the Cricket Club in North Miami discloses a $134,000 assessment. A new Florida law.
So those are the 5, and if you've been keeping a mental list, you've probably noticed something quietly leaving. Rising flood risk, a broke HOA, a stalled comeback, a one-employer town. Every single one of them shares the same DNA, and this is the part I really want you to walk away with, because it's bigger than any one neighborhood on the list. Every red flag we talked about today is a place where the official story and the real story have split apart, and the gap is where you lose money. The listing says established. The FEMA map says low risk. The brochure says luxury community. The pitch says up and coming. The realtor says stable. On paper, all 5 of these look completely fine. The decline is never in the documents you're handed. It's in the documents you have to go ask for. So here's the one signal that sits behind all 5, the one I promised would change how you look at a place. The most honest read on a neighborhood's future is this. Are the people who live there now choosing to stay or quietly choosing to leave? Listings tell you what the seller wants. But people moving their lives, that's the truth. Voting with their feet. And you can actually see it.
All of these people in this community to other parts of your community. We need to have more of those 6, to be quite honest, to make sure that we're reducing the number of people in harm's way.
I think in most cases, when there is a catastrophic flood, sort of day 1 after that flood is when you're going to have the most.
The number of homes lingering on the market. School enrollment trends, which are public and which fall before home values do, because families with options leave first. Rental conversions. When a street that used to be owner-occupied starts filling with rentals, it means the owners decided to keep the deed but get their own family out. And the simplest one of all, the one I gave you at the very start, knock on a door, look a neighbor in the eye, and ask if they'd buy here again today. The pause before they answer is the most accurate appraisal you will ever get, and it's free. The buyers who lose money aren't dumb. They're just reading the surface, the paint, the price, the pitch. The buyers who build real wealth in housing learn to read the current underneath it. That's the whole game. Find the place where the residents are quietly planting roots instead of quietly packing boxes, and almost everything else takes care of itself.
The average median price home in Marin County has gone down about 11%, but things are still moving. The actual sales haven't changed at all, the percentages. So there's some opportunities there. Also, in condo sales in San Francisco, there is an 11% increase in sales from last year, however, a 9% decrease in prices.
You're not buying a house. You're buying the direction a neighborhood is already moving. Make sure it's moving toward you. Here's what I hope you actually take from this. Buying a home is one of the most emotional, hopeful things a person ever does. And that hope is exactly what gets used against you. The point of everything today isn't to make you paranoid on every tour. It's the opposite. It's to give you the quiet confidence to walk a street, see past the staging, and know what you're really looking at. When you can read the signals, the fear goes away because you're no longer guessing. You're seeing clearly. And the right house in the right neighborhood, moving in the right direction, is out there waiting for you to recognize it. So take your time, ask for the documents, knock on the door, trust the pause. And if this saved you from a mistake or even just made you look at your own neighborhood a little differently, do me one favor and subscribe to Bricks Market. This is exactly what we do here. Cut through the polish and show you how housing really works, so you keep more of your money and make smarter moves. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.